In this video, I'm just having a quick look with you at my Perry Miniatures 28mm plastic War of the Roses figures. Now, these I've painted over a period of time. The most recent is that I attempted to try and get the flag bearers or the standard bearers finished. And you can see that they still haven't quite had their bases finished. And indeed, I haven't painted the edges in on all of it, the bases for any of the figures at this stage, but I have at least finished painting all of them. But the bulk of them, those that are in armour of different types, particularly these on the right, I think were painted maybe 1 or 2 years ago now. It's quite hard to remember, time goes by quite quickly these days. But I did recently make a bit of an effort, as I say, to try and get them a bit more finished, and do their basing as well. I did very much enjoy putting these together, actually, a totally different period to the Napoleonics from the previous video, or World War II, or anything of that nature. And I don't necessarily do anything that would fall into sort of like sword and shield in inverted commas, although almost no shields involved here, as you can see. In fact, no shields in any of these. But in any case, I very much enjoyed putting them together. I think I did mix and match some parts from the different sets that are available, so I did mix and match some of the arms and so on from the Dismounted Foot Knights, the men-at-arms box that's available, with some of the parts from the War of the Roses infantry. And I do indeed have Bill and Bowman as well. I just haven't got anywhere with those, even though I've constructed them and primed them. But in any case, this is just a quick look through what I have managed to do. So the first thing is this bunch of fairly uniform looking metallic individuals on the right hand side here. So these are the various foot knights, dismounted men-at-arms, and various armour combinations, and with a variety of different weapons. Some of them have got different types of helmets, and fully enclosed with visors and sallets and the whole 9 yards on that front. There are poses that I created among these, and there are certain types of armour and sort of dynamics of the way the figures came out that I like more than others, so I've tended to put those at the front. I quite like this chap here with the two-handed sword, and I'm quite fond of this one as well, in that sort of advancing, striking pose that you've got. I might just pick him up as well. Doop. There we go. Have a look all round. Behind him there, you can see, I mean, it involves obviously painting quite a lot of armour, and you might think that painting a single colour or type of colour, oh, that'd be easier than painting something perhaps more detailed, lots of other colours involved on it. But it can be quite gruelling in and of itself, because you have to make a point of interest out of a single colour or a single shade, and also there's a lot of it, and it's still very time consuming to do, and sort of to get look right and a bit visually interesting. So the little bits of details, like the pops of colour, like the the back of his trousers, for want of a better word, behind the thighs there, a little bit of purple to break that colour up, the little sort of golden or brass or otherwise colours in the straps and so on, and making things perhaps a little bit lighter than they might otherwise be colour-wise. There goes the focus. And then the plume on there as well. But I particularly like this pose. And they've got a variety of different other sort of spot colours or popping colours as well. So they haven't all got the same trouser colour, for example, behind. Also, largely full-face helmets and bits of armour that obscure the face. Means less opportunity to have to paint faces, which is no bad thing, because they can be quite time-consuming as well. But there are a few of them that I've had to do as well. This guy's decided to go with an open-faced helm, for better or worse, into the engagement there. You can see as he wields his poleaxe horizontally. And there's his arming sword on the side as well. And there you go, you can see he's got green sort of trousers at the back of there. But yeah, a nice variety of poses and different weapons you've got there. There's a couple of guys, I don't know if some of these weapon combinations or poses are a bit sort of made up or anachronistic. For example, this guy here. He looks like something out of a sort of like 1970s, 1980s sort of like fantasy armour movie film. He's got his dagger point down there next to him and his sword. I'm always a bit dubious about the whole idea of arming swords when people are in full plate armour like this. Like, I understand maybe a two-handed one, because of the weight behind it's going to cause an impact, it's going to cause a problem. But realistically, I mean, I don't know enough about the period, I guess. I just think the shorter, like the ordinary swords in inverted commas, wouldn't have a great deal of utility and impact necessarily. apart from these guys that may be wielding their daggers alongside them to go for joints and things, as opposed to having the canoper of a poleaxe or some other kind of two-handed weapon. But anyway, I digress onto historical matters, probably outside of my purview. And then you've got this collection on the left-hand side here. So the only reason I've separated these out is because these are figures where they've got some form of like surcoat or other piece of cloth with colour on it, in addition to their armour, so they're not just fully armoured. So they've got their various tabards and things. What I haven't done for any of them is finish them off in terms of putting the heraldry and so on. And from sort of left to right, what I've roughly gone with, and you might be able to tell from the banner if I was to turn it around, that this figure here for me is sort of my Warwick, as it were. And then you've got 3 men-at-arms around him with the sort of red Warwick livery, but I haven't put the actual heraldric motifs on any of them. And then you've got this Perry figure here that's the one that you can't change, really. I mean, I suppose you could put other arms on him and give him a two-handed weapon, which might be more representative or accurate depending on the situation. But whoever that might be, the king advancing, drawing their sword. It's a very it's a fun pose. And yes, that's my sort of Edward IV in inverted commas, because that's who I'm a fan of the variety of kings that are on offer for the Wars of the Roses. And there's his standard being born at the back there as well. There you go. With the sunburst rose. Again, I haven't done the heraldry on this yet, but that's that chap. And then to go back, that is Warwick's slightly smaller banner. And then this one here, points for people that have guessed in advance based on the flag and the colour scheme, but that is meant to be Lord Falkenberg with a couple of men-at-arms, and then his rather large standard on the right-hand side there as well. Again, these are not necessarily accurate to sort of what we know about what they might have worn at different periods or what they might have looked like, but sort of roughly in my mind's eye, using the parts that were available in the kit, I've made some fun figures for myself. That's sort of all there is to say about them, really. Again, nice little kits that do mix and match together relatively well, even if you have to sort of do a little bit of cutting and sort of fudging to make them sort of fit together a little bit better. And yeah, I'd say that getting armour right is... I did spend a long time painting the armour on these. If you wonder what I used, because I sometimes get asked these kind of questions, I actually used scale 75 paints. I've got a series of 5 of them that go up to some fairly sort of almost white silvery highlight colours for the real extreme sort of dots and bits of light and so on. And that's what I used to paint the armour and weapons on all of these figures as well. Let's give you a look round the side of them there. And sort of come back over them. So yeah, rather fun. I haven't got any more knights or men-at-arms, I think. I've just got a load of bill and bowmen, and also some of... Actually, that's not true. I've got some of the mounted men-at-arms as well, languishing in a box like many other projects for now. But perhaps they'll get their own chance on the painting table in due course. But in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed having a quick look at these, and I hope to see you in the next video.